This is the We All Juggle Knives channel. Welcome to my review of this knife. This is the Cold Steel Bushranger. I got a lot of usage footage coming up. We're going to put this knife through its paces in this review. The blade length on this is 3 1/2 inches. The handle scales are machined G10, but they look really nice. From far away, you might think micarta. They look really nice. You saw it's got a thumb plate as your opener. It's got a triad lock. The steel on this is S35VN, which is a very premium steel with high edge retention. It's got a 2-position pocket clip. You saw it had a lanyard hole too, and it has a Bowie blade shape, right? That wicked piercing Bowie tip. There you saw the innards there. Right, and you just press on that to disengage the lock. It will not come open by accident. Opens smoothly. Locks up very securely. This is a great folding knife for indoors and for outdoors. Alright, speaking of some bushcraft, making more notches in our well-used notch stick. Now, I don't usually use a folder for bushcraft, but you can in this case. This would be an excellent, maybe as a backup to a fixed blade, or maybe, maybe you're carrying like a hatchet or something, and then you have a folder backing that up, or for finer work, right? There's a notch for you. Let's make another one. But yeah, if you do want a bushcraft folder or like a hunting or camp folder, this would be awesome for that task. Yeah, I mean, it's a little pricey just for that, but hey, once you're into cutlery, your idea of how much you will invest in your cutlery tends to change over time. Now, there is a less expensive version of this knife called the Bushranger Light, right? Way less expensive because it does not use that same premium steel. I will include links in the text description box to this as well as to the budget version, which I'm going to review in the future. Right, so check out the text description box because it'll be worth your while. There I am removing the bark from that branch, right? But in the text box, I'm going to have a whole section under $50, right? Cold steel stuff under $50, then another for their tomahawks and their machetes. All right, doing some carving. Going to carve a letter opener, right? So the tip has to be very thin to be a letter opener, but this is doing an excellent job on that wood. That wood is dried out, and it's harder to carve than just a branch would be, but that S35VN, man, and the edge that this came with, it's just making it look easy. When I bought this knife a while ago, it was $120, and now I just checked. It seemed to have gone up about $10, at least for now. So pretty pricey knife, but I have to say, if you want to feel better about that, there are knives that use the exact same steel that are even more expensive, like sometimes even a lot more expensive, So, I mean, this thing can really be used for many things. Like, even if you don't need a folder for the outdoors, being 3 1/2 inches, that's a very manageable length for just an EDC folder, right? Using the sandpaper to put some finishing touches, smoothing it out. There was a bit more carving, a bit more smoothing, but there you go. That's just the tip of the letter opener. Obviously, I have to thin out the whole rest of it so that it's all kind of that thin and looks like a letter opener, but that's the beginning of it. It just has to be pretty thin. So the point is just that this came well sharp enough to carve or to whittle with. Speaking of initial sharpness, I filmed this when I first got it before I used it for anything. Just listen to this. All right, so that was the initial sharpness. They they really did an excellent job on that edge. Alright, speaking of the edge, here it is against an onion food preparation. In case you want to cut up your lunch with this, like a camp kitchen folder, maybe you need to process like a squirrel or a rabbit or something. I don't know what you're doing out there with your bushcraft, but it can cut up food, is my point. Yeah, I eat 1 onion per day, believe it or not, along with some broccoli. Alright, here I am making some shavings, and definitely can make some nice fine shavings even on gnarly old kiln-dried firewood. Right, and then there might be some fire in the future. Alright, but yeah, see, those are pretty fine, pretty thin curly cues there, so you get the idea. Alright, using the spine of this as a striker, that's my fire steel. Now I am going to use it as a striker with the blade deployed as opposed to the blade folded, even though some folders you can strike with it with the blade folded, but I don't like the scales to be directly above the sparks and the fire, right? So just because I don't usually like to risk singeing or melting nice handle scales. So if a folder has really nice handle scales, I will either not use it as a striker, or in this case, because of the triad lock, I used it with the blade deployed because that lock is very strong. I felt very safe using it that way. Final conclusions, this is a very, very good knife. It is worth the money, even at the price, which is kind of high. I can unambiguously say this is one of the few knives that's actually worth the high price. That steel is first rate, has high edge retention. This came with a very well done edge. The blade shape, good for slicing, good for piercing. This is also good for pushing into wood. The handle is comfortable, but it also gives you a strong grip because of the contour and because of the texture, and it is attractive. Reminds me of my Carta. Another good thing about this, the lock, the strongest lock you can get. The thumb plate works great for opening it, and it opens smoothly. This thing can do everything as far as an outdoor folder, but also very useful indoors. Factory floor, an office, a garage. This would be useful there too because it's not too long to be an EDC folder. So yeah, I highly recommend this. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to do so. Check out the text description box for all the links. Those do help the channel, and I really appreciate you using them. This has been We All Juggle Knives. I'm out.